Good day, you absolute legends. In today's video, I want to talk about how No Man's Sky has a lot in common with Light No Fire other than just it being made by the same company. I mean, there is a lot of crossover with the two games. We're going to go over everything today, but we're also going to be talking about Light No Fire itself. But before we do get into all that, ladies and gentlemen, as always, can I please just ask you just double check that you are indeed still subscribed to the channel. If you need to resubscribe, please do resubscribe. Or if you have been watching me for a while and you like what I do, you like the content that I make, then why not consider hitting that subscribe button. You definitely will not regret it. Anyways, we have a lot to talk about today, so let's get right on into today's video. So first of all, some context. As we know, No Man's Sky has been around now for the last, 8-9 years, virtually near enough a decade, even beyond that if you want to account for development time as well. And, you know, No Man's Sky had a rough launch back in 2016. The game was a massive mess, and we're not going to go back into history today, but that's just some context from where Hello Games was to where they are today. Now, Hello Games have put in the work and the effort and made No Man's Sky into one of the best games ever to exist, in my opinion. And I think No Man's Sky will be a cult classic for many more years to come. And the updates that the team are bringing out, even still to this day, and it's virtually every couple of months, there's always a new update being released for No Man's Sky, has given me the confidence that Light No Fire is going to be a resounding success. Now, I am hoping that Light No Fire has a much more smoother launch and release than No Man's Sky. I hope the team have obviously gained a lot more experience with launching games, so we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully Light No Fire isn't a complete mess. However, even if the chance happens and it's the same kind of repeat of the game launches and it's not up to scratch, and you know, it's a whole repeat of 2016 again, No Man's Sky, but with Light No Fire, I also have the confidence in the game studio, going off what I've seen already, the groundwork that Hello Games have put into No Man's Sky has given me so much confidence that the game for Light No Fire will be getting developed on. So any issues that no doubt we'll start with will be getting patched out, ironed out as time goes on, and updates as well. I cannot wait for updates to happen with Light No Fire. Now, if it's going to be the same sort of structure with Hello Games as already been showing with No Man's Sky, then, you know, there could be like major patch updates, and it could work sort of the same way where every couple of months we'll get a new patch update to add something new into the game and so on, and it'll be a continuous development from there. Now, if that's the same sort of groundwork and foundation that the team at Hello Games are going to be putting into Light No Fire, then I am so excited. And the next thing I want to talk about is the assets from No Man's Sky to Light No Fire. They share a lot of the same in-game assets, even though they are two completely separate games. And not only that, but they share the same sort of game engine. And that just goes to show that it's going to be such a quick compatible thing. Now, even the lore in No Man's Sky kind of ties back to Light No Fire, almost like No Man's Sky is kind of like the sequel to Light No Fire. It's like No Man's Sky set in the future, and there's space, and you know, the different creatures and alien races, and we're going exploring the galaxy. But the lore kind of suggests is kind of like where the lore kind of started. Now, the fact is that Light No Fire is going to be based on one planet, not 18 quintillion planets, but one mega ass planet. It's bigger than planet Earth. So what, if you walk in a straight line for an entire year, you're still not gonna make it for one end, wrap around the Earth and make it back to yourself? I mean, will it have a North Pole, a South Pole? How is it going to work? But at the end of the day, I am so super excited. And one of the more exciting features, and again, I think the team have a lot of legwork to do here, because it's one area that Hello Games really has struggled with, and we've seen it with No Man's Sky, is the multiplayer aspect, and apparently Light No Fire is going to be nothing but multiplayer. I'm just wondering how it's going to work, because essentially it's like one big gigantic MMO, and we know that with any kind of like massive multiplayer online game, the graphics always have to take a hit. There's always some kind of compromise to get everybody online for the servers to handle it and so on. But Light No Fire, I mean, you've seen the trailer. It looks absolutely amazing. And that's touted to be like a massive MMO style game. So they're not sacrificing visual quality. So how is that going to work? Because, you know, the running kind of thing is everyone's going to be online at once. You'll be able to see everybody, you know, and, you know, what, you're going to be able to see 100,000 players, like, all at once. I mean, can you imagine the server load alone? I mean, at the end of the day, I can imagine servers absolutely having a meltdown. I don't even know if any game up to this point can handle something that big. So, you know, for an indie game company to say that's what they want to do is kind of insane. I don't know how they're going to accomplish it. However, truthfully, I don't feel like we are going to get to that kind of scale when it comes to like multiplayer gaming. I think it's going to be very much like we see in No Man's Sky at the minute, just a more tricked out version of it, where, you know, maybe you'll just see like a vicinity of players around you in your area, so it won't like load everybody in at once and be like invisible servers, if you will, where you have a chance to like run into like certain people. So maybe in your vicinity, so maybe if it's by like, I don't know, because it's the size of the earth or bigger, like what, per like square kilometer, maybe it might load in 30 people, 60 people in that square kilometer, and then when you move out of a region, then it'll load in the next like 30 or 60 players. And maybe that's how they're going to do it, like balance load it, so it gives the illusion that everyone's active online, because, you know, like I said, when this game releases, it is going to hit major numbers, you know, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of players. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Every top big streamer is going to be playing this game. So that's going to bring in a lot of attention. It's going to bring in a lot of numbers. So that's the only kind of like feasible way that I can imagine it running. But, you know, it is going to be like that. And, you know, it's going to give at least the illusion that you are playing in an active open world, which is going to be absolutely incredible. Now, let's talk about like the same sort of assets that the game are using, other than obviously the engine that we just talked about. Now, with the Relics update, we've seen the same sort of thing, like asset sharing, or even just inspired by. Now, at the end of the day, we've just had, for example, a new archaeological update, if you will, with bones and things like that, and creatures, and, you know, you can actually make things that kind of look like dragons now and so on. Even in the lore No Man's Sky, we have dragons. And that, again, all circles back to Light No Fire. So I think the two games are very much entwined with each other. And we can even go further back with that, with Worlds Part 1, for example, when we had the new water physics first come into the game. Where do you think the technology came from? The development came from for the new water physics in No Man's Sky? It came from Light No Fire, because as we know, in Light No Fire, they have the oceans, and it all looks pretty much exactly the same. But because they use the same engine, it was easy just to port over. So they figured it out on one game and brought it over to the other. And, you know, that's a very exciting prospect, because at the end of the day, if them two are like asset sharing like that, then it means that when one game has an advancement, the other game very well may get it, and vice versa. If, you know, No Man's Sky, you know, they are still going to be continuing the development, then there's nothing stopping them from porting something from No Man's Sky over to Light No Fire. Again, it's a very exciting cross-compatibility kind of thing, and I'm really looking forward to just how the game is going to look. So the next thing on my mind is, well, when is Hello Games going to release Light No Fire? I'm sure that's on your mind too. Now, there is a lot of talk in certain circles, you know, there's rumors flying about that basically they're gonna be either announcing the game release date or a new trailer with the release date, with the upcoming Game Awards. Now, there is some speculation there, and, you know, you can take it or leave it with that. A lot of people keep saying it, even last year, that, oh, the Game Awards, you know, there's going to be some information about Light No Fire in that, and then it never happened. And the same sort of thing's being kind of said again. However, this year does hold a little bit more promise to that. And the reason I say that is Hello Games need to position themselves very carefully with the launch of Light No Fire, because there are games constantly coming out this year that are very, very, very big games. And even next year, we know that, for example, the biggest game of the decade is about to be released, and I'm probably going to get hit in the comment for this because, you know, people for whatever reason don't like the game, but the new GTA is coming out, and we can't say it's not. So in 2026, when GTA comes out, if Light No Fire doesn't come out before then all the major streamers, everybody's going to be jumping on the GTA bandwagon. And it means then if Hello Games release Light No Fire in 2026, for example, then they're not going to get the same sort of crowd as they would as if they released it, let's say, this year at some point. Because there are no games this year that I've seen anyway that is going to be as big or as highly anticipated as Light No Fire. So this year is the perfect window of opportunity for Hello Games to release it, to get the numbers, to really promote the game. If they leave it an extra year, then they may very well run into problems. So in my mind, Hello Games aren't that stupid. They're not that naive. They know the market. Mr. Murray knows the market. He knows release windows. So I highly and heavily suspect that this year we are going to get the release of Light No Fire. Now, it may be that the release date is going to be the Game Awards and we'll get it then on pre-order, or we'll be able to buy it there and then, or maybe we'll start seeing now over the next couple of months some snippets, some release day trailers, and then possibly a release date. But by the end of the year, I would be very, very, very surprised if we didn't get Light No Fire in our hands, installed on our systems, and everyone playing. So a couple of things just whilst we are talking about Light No Fire is that I really want the game to be PvE focused, but also PvP focused. I want to be able to have my own factions. I want to be able to have my own groups, my own clans, where we can like build a massive like base. I think about like Ark Survival Evolved, where, you know, you can have your own groups, you all like build bases together, you know, you all have shared resources, you know, you all pull in like animals and tames and things like that. I want it to be the same sort of thing where, you know, you have a stronghold, a castle, whatever the case is, the way that you want to build it. You know, you have to put up defenses. I think that would really help with the game loop a lot, because then it's a never-ending story. It's always evolving, you know. There's gonna be disputes over land and territory. You know, I really want to see that. Now, we've already seen some of the weaponry in the game as well. So we have bows, we have a little bit of magic, we also have swords, and obviously we have different characters. So, you know, there's different kind of creature characters, there's human characters. So really looking forward to that. And I'm hoping as well with the dragons that we're seeing that, you know, they do have some abilities, maybe fire breath or something across the lines of that. But if there's one mount that you can get and they're showing like flying mounts, then there's going to be other creatures, like for example with No Man's Sky, where you can have flying mounts, birds and so on. Maybe you can get something similar in Light No Fire as well. But also another thing that's really intrigued me is obviously the team have put a lot of work, and we've already spoken about this, into the water physics and mechanics into the game. And obviously in the trailer of Light No Fire, we have seen ships. So, you know, is it going to be possible where, you know, you'll be able to have an entire armada of peeps on ships, and, you know, do the ships have any sort of, you know, cannonry, weaponry on it? How does that work? We'll be able to have like sea battles. How is this going to all work? Again, I don't know, but I'm hoping for something like that again to really expand the gameplay loop, to really kind of like get out there, because at the end of the day, I want this game to do extremely well, and I just want to give it as many opportunities to do as well as possible. However, I completely understand that my desires for the game is not everyone's desire for the game. I also understand that there are people out there that just want a PvP experience, and, you know, they don't want any PvP. But maybe there's going to be like different servers, if you will. So, you know, there's a PvP server where it's only PvP and PvE, or maybe there's just a PvE server where you can just go and fight NPCs. Maybe there's a creative server where everyone can jump on and build bases and so on. They could really do something like that with this. And again, I think that would cater for then absolutely everybody. No matter what experience you want with Light No Fire, you can get it. So yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to. I just wanted to have this conversation with you here today. You know, I've been thinking about Light No Fire over the last few weeks and really looking forward to it. Let me know when you think that Light No Fire is going to drop. Do you think it's going to be this year, next year, or the year after? Do you think that No Man's Sky and Light No Fire share a lot of the same things and same assets like I've already seen? What do you think about it overall? But yeah, let me know, comment section down below, you know what to do. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's everything from me here today, and as always, my name is Professor Cynical, and I'll catch you all again in the next one. Bye for now.